On to week 8, man, already nearly halfway through the NFL season. Week 8 picks are 6-pack of picks, including Aaron Rodgers. Well, he's not returning to Green Bay, but he is playing against his old Packers and a whole lot more. Coming at you right now.
NFL analyst Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson bring you expert NFL analysis every day in less than 30 minutes. Get an inside look at the NFL on the field and in the front office with elite breakdowns to next-level analysis and in-depth information only for the real NFL fans. This is Peacock and Williamson, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Peacock and Williamson NFL Show. Brian Peacock alongside Matt Williamson at BD Peacock at Williamson NFL. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Love our everydayers. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you're all subscribed on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcasts. I'm serious right now. Pause the show. Hit subscribe because it helps us out tremendously. And if you're new to the program, welcome. Hope you enjoy. And you can stick around as well. Today's episode of Peacock and Williamson is brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. All right. I know you've done a lot of work on this one because it is the Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Green Bay Packers, which means Aaron Rodgers gets to face his old team. And those Green Bay Packers are actually favored on the road. So Rodgers, an underdog at home against his old team. 3.5 is the line. Which way are you going on this one? What do you think is the key here for the Steelers team and a defense that is really letting a lot of folks down, including me with my picks, Matt? Every time I pick the Steelers, they seem to lay an egg on me, Matt. What's going on?
So I find it kind of funny, curious, however you want to say, that the day the schedule was released, the Steelers just happened to get the Jets in week 1. Rodgers was not a Steeler at this time, by the way. He was not under contract with anybody. But week 1, the Steelers open with the Jets. And then a Sunday night game is Packers-Steelers, which would probably be a lot of eyeballs no matter who's playing, let alone Rodgers versus former team. I mean, they're two crazy fan bases. But still, I found it kind of curious that maybe the league knew Rodgers was going to be a Steeler well before everybody else did. And my time in the facility, nobody ever seemed to sweat that Rodgers was coming to the Steelers.
The Steelers never did anything at quarterback. And it's like, well, either they know something
right.
or they're insane. And of course, Aaron Rodgers ended up signing. So yeah, that was the worst kept secret, I think, in the NFL.
Yeah. They're saying things like, oh, we really trust Mason Rudolph. No, you don't. Yeah. So Rodgers obviously had a ridiculous Packers career. There's all kinds of numbers and stuff, his time with Green Bay. But I think one of the interesting ones is he's beaten 31 NFL teams, but not the Packers, which makes sense. You get that opportunities.
All eyes on this game too. It's a primetime game. The Sunday nighter, which should be a lot of fun. I didn't even think about this, but you brought up the Jets game. That's the only time this season the Jets scored any points was against the Steelers.
Yeah, defense. Bad defense.
So what's going on with the Steelers difference? How do they have to get better so they can allow Aaron Rodgers to go beat his Packers? Because Rodgers has been doing his job. He's been holding up his end of the bargain for the Steelers. It's the defense that's not been quite the same level that we've come accustomed to. Because if you said coming into the year, right, Matt, like, hey, Rodgers is going to play pretty good. In fact, he's going to throw 4 touchdown passes against the Bengals. You'd be like, oh, I'd probably win that game. Probably do pretty well.
I've said this for 5 years, really since Ben's elbow surgery, that if they could just get the 15th best quarterback, they could compete. That doesn't mean they could go to Arrowhead and win in the AFC Championship game, but they could win a playoff game type of team as opposed to just get in, barely get blown out. Now, I think they have at least that. He's playing extremely well, especially from the neck up, but he can still sling it. He's buying time in the pocket. And frankly, the offense, despite having okay players, not great, is really encouraging. Almost on a weekly basis, they look better and better. The running game's coming along. The young O-line's coming along. Rodgers is utterly guiding the ship and is very, very influential. I'll just put it that way. And the defense is the total opposite. I mean, anyone watch a Thursday night game against Flacco and Chase and those guys, that was unbelievably apparent. That one side of the ball is great, one side of the ball is terrible. And I frankly think they have much better players on defense than they do on offense. And I don't think all of a sudden Cam Hayward and Watt and Ramsey all got old. They're just very reliant on splash. I mean, I don't want to go too far into just Steeler Tomlinisms, but when they cause turnovers and they cause defensive splash, they almost always win. And this goes back for a decade. And they're like the best team in the league at it, to be very honest with you. They always lead the league in forced fumbles. They always are at the top of the league in sacks. They're always at the top of the league in batting passes down. And the days they don't get it, and frankly, they let up a lot of yardage. I mean, people move the ball until they take a hold on TJ Watt and it's 3rd and 12, and then they bring the house and Herbig gets a pick six, and like chaos. And there's just some days where they don't get the splash and people just move the ball too easily, and that's not okay considering how good their players are.
And there's an advantage being at home here for the Steelers, and they get extra rest coming off that Thursday nighter the week before. And the Green Bay Packers have proven not to be the team to really just lay it on people either, and kind of slow play some games and have kind of lacked. They're 4-1-1. They're doing okay, but they've lacked that killer instinct, I think. And so getting points at home with Aaron Rodgers against the Packers, I feel like I like it. Talk me out of picking the Steelers in points here.
No, I'm not going to talk you out of it, because another huge trend that has just been going on way too long is when you give Tomlin short rest, his record's horrible. I mean, Thursday night games or weird COVID games when they play them on a Wednesday, if you give him long rest, and he dominates. I mean, the rosters the win-loss records couldn't be any different. And another Tomlin thing is prime time at home, the Steelers almost always win. Monday nighter or Sunday nighter here, they almost always win. So I'm not going to talk you out of it, especially with the points. I think the Steelers might win, but I'm definitely taking the points.
Let's go to the Buffalo Bills, who are taking on the Carolina Panthers. Buffalo had a big loss to the Atlanta Falcons on Monday Night Football, and are now coming off a bye week, which I think would help them. They might not be quite as mad as they would have been coming off a loss and then going right into the next game the next week. But I'm sure they've done a lot of work on trying to fix whatever they screwed up on Monday Night Football 2 weeks ago. And they are at the Carolina Panthers on the road, favored, though, by 7.5 points. A pretty big line against the Carolina Panthers team, Matt, that I'm double checking here to make sure I got this right. Yeah, the Carolina Panthers are playing good football and are an above 500 team at 4-3, not far off from the Bills 4-2 right now. And the Bills are favored by 7.5.
It's taken me a long while, but I am coming around on the Carolina Panthers being more than just a dyslexic, who knows what you're going to get week after week team. And frankly, I think Dalton starting stabilizes the ship a little bit more. They run the ball on everybody, and I don't think the Bills' defense is particularly great. I think the Panthers can shorten the game, run the football a ton. And a name I want to throw out there is Derek Brown. I mean, he's been phenomenal in the middle of Carolina's defensive line. And boy, was their defense horrible last year. And it wouldn't have been great with Brown, but you realize how impactful he is in the middle. They still don't rush the passer great, but the defense shows signs of life. And if you're going to be over a touchdown at home, yeah, I'll take Carolina in the points.
Yeah, and seeing how the Bills lost that game on Monday Night Football. Can you fix that part of your team if you're not able to stop a team that's good at running the football, which the Panthers have been? And if they are good at running the football, you shorten the game. They're at home. You have a quarterback that can keep you on schedule and keep you in front of the sticks a little bit, which tells me it could be, a Buffalo Bills win, but 7.5 is a lot of points.
A lot of points.
This can be a one-score football game. And so, yeah, I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers and take the points here.
I'm a little shocked both these lines that we've discussed so far are as high as they are.
We'll see if there's some late movement. There was some late movement on the 49ers Falcons primetime game last week, and it went the direction I thought it was, a lot towards the Falcons side of things. But it turns out it was wrong, and the 49ers were able to win that one. I feel like, especially this game, and there's a couple others on the schedule, I feel like the line is due for a correction and a little bit of change when that late money comes in. We'll see if Buffalo at Carolina is one of those. We're taking the points on the first two games. We've got some more here. In the division, New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles is always fun. Another pretty big line there. We've got the 49ers at the Houston Texans and Miami Dolphins at the Atlanta Falcons, as well as the Thursday nighter, which is Carson Wentz's Minnesota Vikings at the Chargers coming up to finish off this week's Peacock and Williamson six-pack next. Today's episode of Peacock and Williamson brought to you by Prize Picks. And every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. So don't miss the excitement of this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is such fun, and it's so simple, and it's a way to add more excitement to your football. And all you do is you pick more or less on player projections. That's it. So Josh Allen's passing yards. Is he going to throw for more or less than those projected passing yards on Prize Picks? Saquon Barkley rushing for a touchdown against the Giants. And you just pick a couple of those and boom, you're in the game. And how about stacks? It's a new feature that Prize Picks just added. So if you want to ride with one player, you can select, say, their pass yards plus rush yards and touchdowns all in one lineup, stack one player in that lineup. And of course, NBA basketball as well. Steph Curry, LeBron, whatever you want to get in on, you can find that as well as football. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. This episode also brought to you by Game Time. And honestly, there's nothing worse than trying to buy tickets. Like, first of all, there's nothing better than being in the stands, right? Cheering on your favorite team, surrounded by fans. And then the other side of that is actually just getting the tickets, which is the worst part of the whole thing. And it can be frustrating. It can be a hassle between queues and login screens and prices jumping at checkout. It's frustrating. And that's why I use Game Time. And you should too. And you should just have Game Time ready to go. You should have it in your back pocket. I always say that because anytime I buy tickets to anything, a sporting event, a concert, go see a comedy show, a theater event, whatever it is, I check Game Time because you can get an awesome last-minute deals on Game Time. But Game Time gives the advantage back to fans because it's fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price, plus all fees included. So none of those prices jumping at checkout. The price you see is the price you pay. Getting rid of the hidden fees is my favorite part of Game Time, aside from the money saved. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Moving on to the New York Giants, who are at the Philadelphia Eagles. Philly at home, favored by 7.5 points here, Matt. And the Philadelphia Eagles are, and actually both these teams are, you think you know who they are, and then they show you a little something else. The Giants coming off such a brutal defeat last week at the hands of the Denver Broncos. And, you know, Jackson Dart showing you a little something. Do they have something in them to go defeat these Philadelphia Eagles in week 8?
What'd you say the line on this was? 6.5?
I got 7.5 here that the Eagles are favored.
What I thought you said.
Yeah.
That's the difference to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, because I had originally seen this one at 6.5. If we're going to go off 7.5, then I'm taking the points. Partially because every time I bring up the Giants, I feel like I have to defend myself. Like, I'm just not sold yet on Scatabo and Dart being these revolutionary players. And I think they have a lot of work to do, and I don't think they protect their bodies at all and all that good stuff. But they sure play hard. And if they're losing by 14 in 3 minutes left in the game, they're going to get that thing in the end zone and cover for me. You know what I mean? That they're not going to lay down. That much I'm pretty darn certain of. And they do move the football, and there's a good defensive line. And I know the Eagles definitely took steps as a drop back passing team last week. And that's something to build off of. But I still think there's things wrong with the Eagles right now. And I think a division game stays kind of close, even if it's a late cover.
This is a tougher one for me. I want to side on the Eagles. They had that 2-game skid. They came back and really Jalen Hurts had an awesome game against the Minnesota Vikings. Now the Vikings aren't playing their best football right now either. Mm-hmm. But I just think the Giants are going to be one of those teams where I do think it's going to be volatile week to week, much more volatile than the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're just not that good across the board. And I think the way they play and the trust, we've talked a lot about trust in this episode. The trust I have for the Eagles is much more than the trust I have for the Giants. They can be fun. They can be pesky. I know it's a division matchup. If this was in New York, maybe I'd feel a little bit stronger about it. But I think there's an opportunity for the Eagles to blow out the Giants here in this one. And we'll see some more rookie ups and downs from Dart, Scatabo, and the like. And I think the Giants are just a little bit down too. Like, how defeated are you? You're calling out your own defensive coordinator as you walk off the field for the Giants last week. This season could get out of hand for you pretty quick. I do like the front seven. They've not showed up in every game. They've gotten better as the season's gone along. I think the smart money is potentially taking the points, but I'm not going to. I'm going to predict a Philadelphia Eagles blowout of the Giants here in Week 8.
I like the first two picks much better than this one in terms of how much my confidence level, because I could see an Eagles blowout. Like maybe they did turn a corner last week with the passing game, and Brandon Graham shows up in the locker room just to kind of bring a professional stabilizing force. And then we start talking about the Eagles on a 3-game winning streak going, oh, they might be the best team in the league.
You know who's loving life in Week 8 is the Atlanta Falcons. Not because they are coming off of a good game. They got beat by the 49ers and might have to look hard in the mirror. But they get to play the Miami Dolphins, and they get to be at home against those Miami Dolphins. I was blown away by the Falcons because I thought they were going to be a better football team than what I saw against the 49ers. And then going back and I watched the game a lot, and I watched the tape afterwards again, and it was like the Falcons didn't look like a good team. The 49ers with backups looked like a better football team top to bottom. If you didn't know the names, you wouldn't know that the Niners weren't without their quarterback. You wouldn't know that the 49ers were without their two best defensive players. You held Bijan to 2.9 yards per carry. Michael Penix looked not good at all. But one thing that Falcons have proven this year is they are a much better team at home, a much better team on turf than on grass.
Yeah.
And a lot of their worst games have come on grass. And so at home on turf against a team that is stumbling about as hard as any team in the NFL, that's why this line is 7.5. But I do like the Falcons easy in this game. Do I like them by 7.5 is my big question. Do you like the Falcons in this game? I think you're going to, but do you like them by 7.5? Because
I do.
I was going to predict the Falcons go on a lose streak, but they just happen to get the right team at the right time this week.
I think that's what it is. This is much more of a vote against the Dolphins. The Dolphins coaching staff state of mind is nothing like the Niners right now, in terms of how do you beat this team. I think Penix is still really up and down for my liking, but I think you could just short, easy throws and a lot of Bijan and some Algier at home with a really aggressive defense. And you should be able to seal this thing away before long. And then we start talking about, Miami firings and all those things even more.
Yeah. Maybe the Jets. There's not too many teams I would have picked, especially this many points, the Falcons. But I'm going to give up the points. I'm going to take the Falcons here. And I think we're going to see some Dolphins players traded on Tuesday.
Yes, that's kind of my prediction too. Yeah. Like this is the end of the road.
We have picked all home teams so far.
Oh, I guess we have.
We've picked the same team in every. Wait, did you took the Giants or the Philly in this one?
I took Giants.
Okay,
so it was 7.5. So that one's different.
They didn't mark that down right. So that's the one game we have not picked the same on is Giants and Philly. We have the 49ers at the Houston Texans, and then the Thursday nighter Minnesota Vikings at the Los Angeles Chargers next. Today's episode brought to you by Mazda. Mazda is always moving the game forward, and Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride. More IIHS top safety picks than anyone else. And when it comes to athletes, we start talking about, okay, how are these athletes primed to perform their best? Well, everything from footwork to breath work. Athletes sweat all the details. And Mazda brings this same attention to how they craft every model of vehicle. You can feel the craftsmanship in every detail, from accents and interior and available Napa leather upholstery. Just sitting in a Mazda feels different. And then you can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. Not only does it feel better to sit in it, it feels even better than that once you start driving a Mazda. So if you haven't driven a Mazda, go to your local dealer and drive one. All-wheel drive standard as well in every crossover SUV, so you can drive with confidence through almost any season. So like the players on the field, Mazda sweats every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Moving on to the San Francisco 49ers at the Houston Texans. I was shocked at this line, just like I was shocked at the line last week. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills as it pertains to the 49ers, because every time I think that they should be favored, they're underdogs. Every time I think they're underdogs, they're favored. Every time I think that this next injury is too much for them to overcome, they go win a big game in prime time in front of everybody. And so maybe you can help me figure out the team that I cover in the 49ers and why the Houston Texans, who can't beat anybody, and the two games they have won were against bad football teams. They can't do anything on offense. And somehow this team, the Houston Texans this week, is going to do something that a team with 8 first-round picks on offense couldn't do against the 49ers last week. The Houston Texans favored by 1.5 at home against the 49ers.
I couldn't agree more. This just leaps off the page of, what are we talking about here? One team wins no matter what, and one team loses no matter what. I mean, sometimes it's that simple. And no Nico. I thought the lack of weapons for that Houston offense was very apparent. And one guy I actually thought was pretty impressive was Jaden Noel. They need to get him a little bit more involved in kind of a Tank Dell type of role. But still, where's the production, the firepower coming from on that side of the ball? And they don't really block anybody. And I think Houston's defense is really good. And it could be a close game. It could be a low-scoring game. But boy, McCaffrey is rolling right now. Kittle's back in the mix. I think San Francisco's should be favored by like 4.5.
It's the lowest over-under on the week at 41.5.
Okay.
There's a good reason why, because the 49ers would prefer to run the ball a lot. Finally got that going. They might have a tough time doing that against one of the better defenses in the league with the Houston Texans. I have big issues with the Texans. The Niners are good at stopping the run, even though they're missing pass rushers. And it looks like Bryce Huff now, the only guy who could create by himself as a pass rusher after Bosa went out. Now he's got a hamstring. He's going to miss a couple of weeks. So Niners are going to trade for a pass rusher. I don't know if it's going to be which team they're going to trade with, but they're going to bring in somebody. To add to this, because they have to at 5-2 now. You're getting points with against the Texans. I'm taking that. I think it could be an ugly football game as well. I wouldn't expect a lot of offensive fireworks in this one. So, that leads you to take the points also, even though it's only 1.5. I don't know. This line doesn't make any sense to me. So,
no, me neither.
Give me the Niners pretty easy in this one. I'm still waiting to see a good Texans offense, and I just don't think it's going to come this week.
No, I just think that they're in a bad place, and I don't really have questions about like their head coach and quarterback, but is it time to put their seat a little bit hot too? I don't know about that.
You can only change offensive coordinators so many times.
Well, there's that, right?
Yeah, and is CJ Stroud just not it? And I think
I don't know. I don't blame him.
After that rookie season, he's going to get the benefit of the doubt for a while, and he'll outlast a coach. I have a feeling there. If that's but D'Amico's the defensive mind, and the defense is good.
Defense is good.
At some point, you got to figure out what's going on offense. It should not be this bad. But again, like, you're going to be in a lot of third downs because the Niners are good at stopping the run. It just doesn't bode well for the Texans this week.
San Francisco struggled on special teams a little bit this year too, right?
They've gotten better. In fact, Eddie Pinheiro just set a record for consecutive field goals hit.
Oh, okay.
Career with the Niners to start the season or whatever it was with the 49ers. He's at 17 straight. So that's helped out a lot. They haven't been great with coverage units and stuff like that, but they're
getting better then,
game at least a little bit and been a little bit better there. And here's the other thing, and this happened last week, and it's happened a lot. We see these coaches that are familiar. Kyle Shanahan knows what D'Amico Ryans, his old defense coordinator, is trying to do on the defensive side of the ball. That's advantage Shanahan.
1,000%.
Yeah. So we're both taking the Niners here and the 1.5 points. And the last one is the Thursday nighter, which is the Minnesota Vikings at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers at home, favored by 3.5 points. And we do know now, and there was some question, but Carson Wentz is getting the start once again. And I guess that makes sense on a short week. Hard week to change quarterbacks, as bad as Wentz was last week.
When you said 3.5, huh?
3.5 is what I'm
I think this has moved a little bit between under 3, above 3, and 3.5 is enough for me to take the road team. Again, I always think I hate road teams on Thursday night. I hate it. But I also don't think it's a very difficult environment. I do think the practice stuff and all that hurts your ability. But I also think Wentz can make some plays. And will they have an answer for Justin Jefferson? It looks like Aaron Jones is likely to come back, which could be kind of useful. I still believe in the Vikings defense being disruptive to keep this thing close. I would pick the Chargers to win. And if it was 2.5, I'd probably take the Chargers. I think Herbert will navigate the Flores stuff reasonably well. And I trust Harbaugh, but over a field goal seems like a lot for two teams I think are on the same tier at least.
And you know what's weird about Flores in that Vikings defense, and I'm sure it'll be a different game plan than it was last week against the Eagles, but it was a good game for a team that wants to run the ball and the defense wants to stop the run, and they're doing, you know, how Flores is aggressive and he'll sell out. And there was just guys running free in the secondary, and that might be just what Justin Herbert and this offense needs for the Chargers. But man, the way the Chargers are playing right now, and they've lost 3 of 4, and they're only winning those 4 games coming against the Dolphins as well. And really, when you look at their season, there's not that many impressive wins on the season. One of those other ones was against the Raiders. They did beat the Chiefs to start the year, and they beat the Broncos as well by 3 points. But again, what I saw from the Vikings is just like they're a little bit broken right now. Maybe a little Wentz rebound, but you know, I hate this one. I'm going to take the Chargers though, and I'm going to give up the 3.5 points. I just think Thursday at home, that's enough of an advantage for me.
One thing I want to throw out about the Chargers is kind of a big picture thing. Is I was really worried, like when the season opened, I'm like, the pass catchers are McConkey and really nothing else. You know, I thought Johnston was kind of a bust and Allen might be shot, and I was wrong. I think they got really good receivers. Like they don't have to rely on McConkey. They're using Johnston correctly. Keenan Allen's just a veteran professional year after year after year. And I'm kind of intrigued with Oronde Gadsden too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's a big play guy. You know, if that's your 4th option, okay. But there's no reason for them to be a run-first Harbaugh team, you know?
And I know maybe last week wasn't as good, but Kamani Vidal proved that he could, you know, fill in and play okay as long as they're good up front. Do we have Joe Alt back this week? There was some talk.
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
He's close. That'd go a long way.
Early, so it's a little bit harder as we record to know exactly who's going to be in and out for a lot of these games. But that would obviously be huge for them.
That would be huge. I mean, it is a short week, but I know he's close.
Here we go. Those are our picks for our Week 8 6-pack. Let us know what you think. And when you're watching games this weekend, hit us with your mailbag questions at Peacock at Williamson NFL. Drop a comment or a question on YouTube. Subscribe while you're there. And Matt and I back Friday to continue making picks for the rest of Week 8 and review what we saw from Chargers and Vikings on Thursday Night Football. Talk to you then right here, Peacock and Williamson.